Today I thought it'd be pretty cool to make a flip animation for my NPCs and my players. So I have it on the NPC running around there, but I can also flip too. I tied it to a button so you could use it on mobile. I mixed the flip with the jump, but you could still do jump with the space bar, right? I didn't want to get rid of the original jump. I thought that'd be pretty cool, and I think it's important to put it on different things too, NPCs and players, so you can see how to move it around and do things with it in your own game the way you want. Let's go ahead and get started with our flip animation. All right, I got my fresh base plate right here. I'm going to start off with my flip animation. So let's go over to the avatar tab. There it is. And let's get a rig builder. Right. I use R15, so select the rig type that you want. And let's use a mesh avatar. I haven't used one of those in a while. So R15 mesh. Just get closer. Nice. And then I'm going to go to my animation editor. I'm going to click on it. And then it says select the rig. That one. And then we'll call this flip. That's our the name of our animation. The flip animation, go to these three dots on the lower left. The priority, I'm going to make that action because I'm going to overtake the jump animation. Sometimes I'm just going to jump. Sometimes I'm going to jump and flip. But if I jump and flip, I want to see the flip. So that is action. All right. And then I'm going to save it again. On my animation editor, I have that little blue scrubber bar there. That is where the keyframes are going to rest when you go ahead and move your little body parts on your guy. So I got this L here. That's local mode. I like it on local mode. If you do the Control L, it'll change the rotation and movement relative to the world or relative to the local part. I like it on L. And these are 50 degree increments. 15-degree increments. So I just grab the upper leg and I rotated it up. There we go. I'm going to get this leg, rotate it up. And then I'm going to get the lower leg. Right? We're getting like a tuck here, right? There we go. And you can play with this all you want, right? You can make this do whatever you want. I'm just going to do it simple for the video. All right, so we got the legs bent. He's going to be like kind of like hunched forward, right? He's making a tuck. And then we'll get the head. Sweet. Arms are going to kind of grab the knees. Whoops, did I mess something up? There we go. Let's get the arm. There we go. That'll work. I'm going to get the other arm before I bend it in because I want it to be kind of symmetrical. Ooh, what am I going to do with that one? How about blue? Right about where his knees are, right? This one, lower arm. So blue. I get the hand, pop that in one. Yeah, all right, there we go. So we got our tuck position. And I'm just going to, now I'm going to change the lower torso. Let's go ahead and keep it like this for the first frame, for the first set of keyframes. Click that top dot right there, right click. We're going to copy selected. Let's make the flip pretty quick at first, and we can slow it down by moving keyframes. I'm going to put my scrubber bar at the 0,3, the third frame, 0:03, and then we'll do paste keyframes. The only thing I'm going to change is that lower torso. I'm going to make it 90 degrees. Let's grab those dots here. We're going to copy selected, go to 6. We're going to paste keyframes. Let's go down to 90. Notice I'm not changing the height because if you want it to work with the jump, you don't want to change the height of the lower torso. The jump's going to create the height, right? So that's a little bit tricky. There we go. And we'll do paste. Go to 90. Cool. Copy. And out to 12th frame, paste keyframes. Let's see here. There we go. One more. All right. And you could actually end that a little bit sooner, that tuck, right? Because you want them to kind of straighten out. But I think that's pretty good for the demo, right? And then we're going to mix that with the jump. Yeah, that should work. Let's do 3 dots. We'll hit save. 3 dots again. Publish to Roblox. Flip. Let's move this down so we can see our submit button. And we'll just hit save. And let's get that ID right there, right? The big ID, hit those two boxes. Boom, ID copied. Close this. Now, before we lose our ID, let's go down to, how about put it on the starter GUI if you want it on a button, right? You could do this with a key too. Let's hit the plus screen GUI plus text button. On the text button, hit the plus, hit an A. How about animation? There it is. And before we change any names, let's get the animation ID right here, this property right here. Control V, and then hit enter. Animation ID. There we go. We have it saved off. Now we can relax a little bit. We can close this window. We don't have to worry about losing this. I might call this like flip or flip anim. It's not a bad idea to let your fellow programmers know what you meant with that in case they change this little thing up here in Roblox, which they do so often. Let's get our flip button. Let's call this like flip BTN. Sweet. Now I'll keep the screen GUI because we're only going to have one. You can just drag this down to wherever you want it. I don't want it to interfere with my backpack. That's why I have it so low. Cool. And then we could change the size of that. Right, size is down here. Let's just go with the text so we know what it is, right? There's our text. Boom. How about make it like your favorite font? It's a Source Sans Pro. I think I'm going to make it Bangers. That's my favorite font. And then if we want to make it text bigger, there's the text itself. We can change that to like flip. Cool. And then I'll just hit the text scaled. And that'll work, right? We don't have to change it too much. You guys can decorate that stuff all you want. Now we're going to need a script too. I think I'll put the script on the flip button. Here's our flip button. Hit the plus. And we're going to do a local script. We're going to add this locally to our player. You could do that with animations. Everybody will see it. And then let's call this flip loc. Cool. And I think I'm going to put my flip animation on flip loc. There we go. So it's one level down. One more level down from the button. Let's change our code a little bit. Let's go to that print, get rid of that. And we'll get a variable for our button. What we call flip button? Flip BTN, how about that? And then script.parent. We want to get our actual flip. This is the animation. We'll say script, wait for child, flip anim. And you want to get the player service. Well, we need that. Yeah, we do. We definitely need it. Players, game, get service, players, and then let's get the player from the player service. So that's local player. I'm going to say players dot local player because it's a local script. So we can get the local player. And now let's get the char from the player. So we'll say that's the character, right? The character, say player, character, or if it's still loading up, which that happens a lot on local scripts, especially with the starter GUI, we'll do player. How about character added :wait. So we're going to wait right here until the character is added. When the character is added, this is going to have a character. Or if the character is already ready, it's just going to grab that character and put it in there. So it's a safeguard to make sure char isn't nil. And this will do local. Let's get the humanoid now, right? So we have the char. Whoops, there's the char. And then we'll do a wait for child. Get the humanoid. And what else? Oh, now we're going to need the animator. And that's going to be in the humanoid. Wait for child. Animator. Then might as well load the track, right? Let's get the track. Let's call it flip track though, in case we have more than one track. Flip track. There we go. Animator. And then we're going to load the animation. Flip. This right here. It's going to go right. This right here is going to go right in here. We're going to load it into the animator and we're going to get this track, and that's what we can play. We can start and stop and things like that. If you think that's kind of complicated, you're not alone. I did too, right? So we have our animation that has the ID, that down there. We get a variable for it, and then we load it into the humanoid via the animator. So the animator is actually in the humanoid. And then we get the track. I know it's kind of tricky, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. All right, it is kind of bad, right? It's a little bit harder than it needs to be, I think. Anyway, let's get our flip button, and then we'll get the activated event, connect that to a function. And let's not do the jump yet. Let's just do the flip in place. That way you might think, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a roll out of this or something. So we're just going to get our track, our flip track, and play it, right? Just see what that looks like. Let's hit the play button. Any second, there we go. Let's hit the flip. Oh, view output, look for errors, look for errors. We need to move that up a little bit, but that's all right. Boom. Right, that's not bad. Yeah. Let's add that. Let's add some height to that. So let's close this. Might want to move this up a little bit. Where's our button? There it is. Joink. That'll work. I just didn't want it to interfere with the backpack itself, but you can move the button around anywhere. You can put it over here, right? All right, let's go back to our flip loc and start looking at the jump. All right, so the jump changed a lot over time, over the last few years in Roblox. In the humanoid, and you can take a look in the humanoid, you have an auto jump enabled. It should be enabled by default. Let's just go ahead and put a true on there. And then you have jump height now and jump power. A few years ago, you just had jump power. So some of my older videos with jump on there, you might run into problems. I think I deleted all of them though, right? Not anything within the last 2 years. This would be like 3 or 4 years ago. All right, so the jump power is normally 50. Let's make it 80. And then we have to actually say hum.use jump power. And we'll make that true. So if we look at the rig, we have a rig in the world, right? There's a rig, there's a humanoid. And then we'll scroll down here. See this jump right here? This will make your NPC jump if you make that true. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Not at the moment. Okay, here we go. Jump settings. So we have auto jump enabled. It should be enabled by default. Jump power is 50. Use jump power. If I turn this off, it gives me a jump height. If I turn it on, it gives me a jump power. I'm going to make it 80. I'm going to increase it a little bit. Now, when I make my NPC jump, I do humanoid jump equals true. Sometime, now you got to play around with that in order for it to work with your players. It's not great. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to comment this out. And if you run into any problems with this in the future, right? Currently, this is how you're going to do it. Change state. So you're going to change the state of the humanoid. Change state, and the state will be enum.humanoid. Oh man, where's my H? Humanoid state type dot jumping. All right. So this is currently the way to do it. Let's try it out. Let's hit the play. We're going to. Oh, I like that a little bit better. Let's go ahead and move that up a little bit. You could do this. I have this on the position. You probably want to change the scale. That's all right. Let's try this. Ah, look at that. Sweet. And I don't have a debounce on it, so you can double jump, right? I think I'm gonna do a Flappy Bird. I'm gonna do a Flappy Bird video with this. That's pretty cool. All right, so you got your jump working. Let's get it on the NPC now so that you know how to do that. And we could change this button, right? Let's get that button so that it's not squishing up like that. Let's go down to flip button. Let's change the anchor point on our button. There's the anchor point. All right, we'll do a 0.5 for the X, 0 for the, no, let's make it 1 for the Y, right? So 0.5 for the X, 1 for the Y. That makes the anchor point right here instead of the upper left corner, and that way we can line it up in the center and closer to the bottom of the screen. Now let's go down to our position, right? And that will make, it's 0.4 for me. Let's make it 0.5 and then 0 pixel offset. And then I'll make this, how about like 0.99? What's that going to look like with 0 pixel offset? That's pretty good. And then when I do view output, that's better. That's better. All right, let's go ahead and save this off. Now let's get the NPC running around and doing some flips. Let's get our flip animation. I'm going to copy that. Yeah, right click, copy. I'm going to go up to my rig. There's the rig. I'm going to add a regular script, not a local script, because it's a non-playing character. It is going to be a server script, which just is script. And we'll call this run, jump, flip. How about that? Run, jump, flip. Then I am going to right click and I'm going to paste into that flip animation into this script. Let's get rid of our print statement, right? This is on the rig. And we'll get our char equals script.parent. Let's get a variable for our flip animation. Where's that? That's on our script. So we'll say local flip and then script wait for child flip anim, right? This one right here. All right, so we got a variable for the flip anim. We'll get the humanoid, so local hum char wait for child humanoid, and then we'll get the humanoid root part because we're going to need the position. So char wait for child humanoid root part, and then let's get the animator from the humanoid, right? So we'll say animator. That's hum wait for child animator. And then let's get the track. Now that we have the animator, we get the flip track by loading the flip into the animator. So we'll say animator, load animation, flip. And the track is what you can turn on and off. Now let's get a start position. I'll just do a variable for this. Start position. HRP dot position. Local dist. Vector3 dot new. 50, 0, 0. That's how far they're going to run. So I'm just going to have them run along the X, 50 studs. And then I want to have them come back too. So I'm going to use a counter. I'm just going to call it, how about CNT for counter? We'll make it 0. And then we're going to do a while loop. While true do. Let's go ahead and move the code a little bit. We'll say if the count mod 2 equals 0, then if you guys are not familiar with this, this is the remainder that happens, that is given to, that is obtained after you do a division by this number. So if count, let's say count is 4 divided by 2 is 0, well, we have a remainder of 0. That's an even number, right? So I'm just going to use it for evens and odds. If this is like 7 divided by 2, the remainder is 1. It's not equal to 0, right? So it's a little more confusing than it needs to be. Just know that this will give you evens or odds. That way we can run back and forth. So the first one, count is 0, right? So that's even. So we'll say hum colon move to, we have our start position plus the distance, right? The other thing it could be is 1, then we'll do a hum move to start position. So we're just going to go back and forth. You can play around with those. Maybe give him a little track to run around. Let's just wait like 2 seconds after he starts running, and then we're going to trigger the jump. We don't have to do a state change for our NPC. We could do hum.jump, right? And if this ever changes, you got that thing called Google. You can Google it and say, hey, why is this not jumping, right? Unless you have an error. So if you just do it today and you get an error, well, it's probably an error, right? So go check to see the output window. Let's get our flip track and then play. And then we'll do, play. And then we'll do hum. Let's just wait. Let's do a move to finished wait. And what I'm doing there is I'm waiting until they get to the destination of either this one or this one, right? And then that move to finish will fire. If it times out, like you could have had that too far, and then after about 6 seconds, it's going to time out, or until you get to the actual destination. Then we're going to increment our counter, right? So it'll go back and forth. So this will be even, then it'll be odd, then it'll be even, then it'll be odd, running back and forth. Let's go ahead and try it out. Let's hit play. We'll go view output window. There we go. And he's not actually doing the run. Why isn't he doing the run? Well, let's fix it. Let's just go ahead and get rid of that output window. We have an animate script. Why on earth they made it local for something that's a server, right? This comes default with the rig. I don't know why they do that. We're going to have to make this a server script. Hit the plus, hit an S, script, right? And it's going to be called animate. Change the name of that. Animate. We're going to get all of the junk on the local stuff. Yeah, I did a shift click to select everything. I'm going to move it to my server script of the same name. I'll just close that. Now I'm going to get all of the contents of this. Control A, selects all. Control C, copy. Or you can do it the good old fashioned way. Open up the animate and I'm going to paste it. Control V. Now you could get some problems with the chat hook, right? The bindable emote bindable hook. Oh, this is it. Emote chat hook. You're not going to use the emote chat hook for a non-playing character. I'm going to get rid of that. That's at about line 755. It won't mess up your game, but you could get errors in the output window. Right? There we go. All right. Now let's try it. Let's see how he runs. Looking good. All right. And I can flip too. We could change his jump height too, right? You might want to put a little bit of a delay on there. See how he's kind of tucking? He's kind of tucking before he does his flip. That's all right. You can play around with it. Yeah, I'm liking it. All right, that's pretty cool. I will see you in the next video.